Just all raw. So don't worry about it. You're just trying to fix. Yeah, you're just trying to fix your glass. But welcome to the show, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Did you know? Actually, this is season 2. So this is actually the first episode of season 2 because the last time actually I was doing a podcast was back I think in September. So it's been already a couple months since I have done a podcast. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to be back. First of all, how you been? How's everything with you so far?
Everything's great.
Everything's great.
Yeah.
Like, what you been up to though? Because I know we haven't seen each other we saw each other recently, but prior to, I don't know what you've been up to lately. So, have you been working? Have you been doing some hobbies or anything like that? Tell me more.
Working full time, and I just moved recently, so I've been busy with that, and still kind of decorating my place, finding things to do.
Nice.
To kind of spruce it up a little bit.
Nice. Where'd you move to, by the way?
Kearney.
Kearney, or is it Kearney?
Yeah. I don't even know. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato.
Tomato.
Kearney.
Kearney. But I know what you're talking about.
Newark, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, at the end of the day, you live on your own or you live with a roommate?
By myself.
Oh, you're by yourself? Oh, yeah. That's awesome. That must be nice, though, because then you have, your own privacy.
Yep.
Yeah. Is it like a studio?
It's a studio, 1 bedroom. So, the living room and the bedroom are separate. But
Gotcha.
I want to get a tension rod to kind of close off the bedroom area from the rest.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically a 1 bedroom without a door.
Right. Because it's a studio.
Right.
And then just the bathroom itself is just where you need to go in. But other than that, it's a studio overall. But that's awesome though, because at least you have, when you're at home, you don't have to worry about anyone else in the apartment. It's just you just cleaning your dishes or just chilling, watching Netflix. It's nice. Yeah. I'm still living at home, which it's nice and all because I save a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I know at some point I want to move out when I know I'm ready. You know what I mean? It's nice to be saving a lot of money and my parents are letting me be in the house, but I know mentally I want to live on my own at some point. But I'm here just because to witness you doing that. I envy you. Mm-hmm. I'm inspired. You inspired me, so now I'm ready to...
it's kind of nice that you get to save money though too, because living on your own is expensive. I mean, you're paying for electricity, the rent, parking. If you have a luxury apartment, amenities, it's all
it's all part of the thing. But
it's all extra money that you could be saving.
Right.
So that part, it's okay, I envy you for that.
Yeah.
But living on my own,
both ways.
It's compared to living with my family, it's a lot different, and it's just more, there's more freedom.
There's more freedom, right?
And I could just come and please as I go, and I don't have to answer to anybody.
That's true.
So
that's true.
That's really nice.
Yeah, and that's why that's where I want to be, just be on my own. But I know if my parents need me or anything like that, hopefully I'll be there if they need me to do something around the house and stuff like that. But I know I do want to be on my own and just kind of see how it is doing my own thing, getting paying for the bills and all that stuff, the what's it called, the rent and all that. I want to test myself on that, you know what I mean? That's why I've always when I know when I'm ready, I'm getting there. I know at some point I'm gonna get there and then do it on my own anyways, just right now, just not at the moment right now, it's just nice to save a lot of money. But anyway, so you've been living at Kearney. So you've been, where do you work at, by the way? Where do you work at?
I work in Florham Park at Sport Clips.
Sports Clips.
And I've been there for a few years.
So. I got you.
Yeah.
You told me you were there. I think you were there even when we haven't seen each other for a while. I think you were still working at Sports Clips.
Yeah, I've been with the company for 4 years now.
4 years, nice.
So.
Is it I think you told me this. Is it a hair salon or something like that?
Yeah, so it's more like a barber shop.
Okay, I got you.
But it's more family. The environment is more for families.
Family oriented.
Yeah, I mean we do have women that come in and get their haircuts every once in a while.
That's fine.
We do charge a little more just because we specialize more in men haircuts, but
that's perfectly fine.
Yeah,
but the thing,
mainly men.
Yeah. So what drew you into doing the hair salon, the haircuts? Where was the first experience you were I actually like doing this. I like this as a hobby. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
If you remember.
So, do you want to know what inspired me to want to be a hairstylist, or do you want to know what my experience was when I started being a hairstylist?
I mean, I guess from how it really started. So where it came from initially. So I guess when you were inspired.
Yeah. So initially it came from my mom. She had her own salon growing up.
Oh, okay. I see. And that makes sense, actually.
I didn't really know that at a young age that I wanted to do that up until like high school, I would say, or like 8th grade, when I was like, I had the opportunity to be a part of a vocational school.
I see.
So I did that my junior and senior year.
Gotcha.
So I would say, like 8th grade or freshman year is when I knew that I wanted to be a hairstylist.
Just from like watching your mom do it, and then you were like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. Like, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it flows. And next thing you know, you ended up like, wow, I actually love it just like how my mom did it. Yeah. So that's actually pretty cool. And then you made it like out of a career out of it. So that's awesome. How's the pay? Is it good for you? Do you think it's consistent?
It depends. I mean, it depends where you work. It depends on your clients. It depends on your position.
Gotcha.
I mean, you know.
As long as you love doing it, that's the end game. Like, yeah, like obviously the pay would definitely be a big factor, but the most important thing is like as long as you're happy, like where you're at, like are you happy where you're at, like right now at this particular moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am. I mean, I definitely don't want to stay here forever.
No, I got you.
I definitely want to have like one of my goals is to have my own.
Right. So that's like one of the, because I always feel like I feel like you're on the same boat with me where you're content for now, but you know like you want more later down the road. Like you like where your positioning is right now because you definitely like grew and as a person too, and as like your work ethic grows. So you feel like, you know, in the past you're like, oh wow, like I was there back then, like that's crazy where I am now. But knowing that I'm content, I know later down the road I'm going to be constantly growing. So if you have the mentality of knowing that you want to grow constantly, you're going to go places. I mean, you're already going places right now. You went to Kearney, for God's sake. You went to Kearney, for God's sake. You got your own apartment.
I feel like I've always been the type of person to like venture out of my comfort zone and experience different things.
Gotcha. So. Yeah, but that's the best part though, because when you get out of your comfort zone, that's, again, I think I said this in one of my audio podcasts, where you have to, you know, be comfortable in uncomfortable environments, because that's where the places, you know, like I have never been there before, but at least like if I make mistakes, I learn from it and I don't hinder, because some people hinder from it. Actually, a lot of people hinder from it and then they just fear to go back to that place again. While as if you are like, all right, I made a mistake, but I am willing to try it again, and you do it over and over until you make perfection, and it actually becomes like your true asset later down the road in life. So that to me, like, because I know, like, I've known you for years, like we've known each other for 8 years, and we've come a long way, especially like back in the CCM days. Like I know we were like, you know, with our crew and we're all like partying, having a fun time and stuff like that, but then as we get older, like we're all like doing our own thing, like our own little career path, but that's because our purpose is there. So it's nice to see you be here on the podcast and being able to see like where you are now, and it's nice to hear from that, you know what I'm saying? So going into it, I know we have like a particular topic that I wanted to actually mention to you, because we had this discussion for like the past, well, we were supposed to have this podcast back in December, but I ended up with COVID, guys, back in December, but there was no symptoms. It was the strangest thing, but because of all that and the parents weren't able to have people over, we had to like delay the whole podcast until like when things start to calm down, which is why we were able to do it today. So which is nice. So going to the topic, I wanted to talk about, you know, family lifestyles. So I know, like, are you talking to anybody? Are you like single, or you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm dating.
You're dating? That's cool. Yeah. So
I'm dating.
We were talking about this. So I know, like, do you want to have a family like later down the road? Do you see yourself wanting to have a family?
Yeah. So I've seen myself in a few different scenarios. One of them is having a family, getting married. I mean, I'm not sure if that's something I'm ready for right now. Like, if a guy was to ask me tomorrow, like, let's get married and have kids, like, I don't think that would be something I'd be ready for.
Can you imagine? Let's get married.
I mean, I'm sure it's possible. Some people get married like a few months after meeting each other, so it's definitely possible for that to happen. You know
it's possible, but I can't even do that.
Yeah, like, it's too quick for me. I need to like get to know the person, see them in different situations,
like emotionally and knowing them in a connective like aspect too for a long period of time. Well, that's for me. Probably the same thing for you, right? So, sorry, I know I was interrupting what you were talking about, but you were talking. Okay, so you were talking about like the different scenarios.
Right. So one of the scenarios I could see myself in is having a family with a guy, settling down and being serious. That's one scenario.
Right.
And for me, for like, it depends on the guy too, because I could have a situation where the guy, you know, depending upon, I would say how much money he makes, for example. Okay, like, so I would want to stay home for the first couple years to kind of like, you know, take care of my kids before they like go into preschool or, you know, whatever, so kindergarten.
Being like a true mother, like
exactly.
Being what's it called? Oh my God, I'm getting old, but there's a term for it. Stay-at-home mom.
Stay-at-home mom, yeah. I mean, I don't want to do that forever because I feel like I'm the type of person, I'm very independent, so I like to do, like, my own thing, too. But I just feel like it's crucial, like, in the first however many years of, like, a child's life. Like, I would say for me, the first few years to, like, just fully focus on them and be at home with them and take care of them. And then possibly like work after that, or work, like help my husband, like be by his side, like while I'm at home with the kids, and like be able to help him like with what he needs to get done, like with work or whatever.
So when do you feel like, again, this is like we don't know for sure, because right now we're in the present. So
I have other scenarios. That's only just one.
Right. That's just one scenario. But I do have a question about that scenario. So say, for example, like you said you want to work at some point after like you become, you know, you're a stay-at-home mom, right? When do you think it'll be the time to start working again? Like as the child gets older, like at like 5 years old or at 10 years old? Because maybe at some point it's a long period, and you might at some point are just like, I don't know if I can do it for this long. You know what I mean? Because that's a scenario which I like. I like that scenario because that's pretty much an overall realistic scenario for everybody. But sometimes like being like a stay-at-home mom, right? And with that mentality that you want to work, it's like, how long should I wait until, like, maybe you might think about getting a nanny. Maybe at like age 5 or 6.
But then my other thing is too, before I get married, becoming financially free. So that way I'm able to kind of stay home, be with the kids, and also make money, but not have to like go work like a 9-to-5 job. You know what I mean? It could just kind of be like something that I can make money with overnight or while I'm home, and like maybe do something from home.
What's like your idea of financial freedom? So like it's I know it's a vision. Yeah. So do you have like some sort of idea? Like do you know any idea about it or not yet? It's to be determined.
Yeah. So I would say one of my ideas would be owning something, like owning property or owning a business. Yeah,
owning a business. Okay.
Something that has to do with real estate.
I see.
So that would definitely be something that would provide me that financial freedom.
I got you. Wait, weren't you? I remember you were taking like classes, I think, on real estate, right? Yeah. So okay. Yep. Now I'm starting to. I see. So that might.
So that's the other path that I have too. So that would be another lifestyle. Would be, you know, focusing on my career, meeting somebody who's also focused. Us kind of like building together, like with our careers, traveling. You know, just enjoying life.
Right. Does a career for a guy like matter? Like, so say for example, now I'm gonna go a little bit in depth. So say if the guy, right, works like a typical 8 to 5, but doesn't like make as much as you do,
or I'm gonna have to work,
and you're gonna have to work, right?
Of
so
course.
Now you go back to that option, that first scenario. It's like, all right, so you're gonna have to work, he's gonna have to work, but then what about your kid? You know what I mean? So like, what do you do? What would you do in that scenario? Like, would you have no other choice but to give your kid to like a nanny, or, you know, go to a daycare?
See, okay,
yeah, that's tough. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that is a tough question, because it's question. Like, okay, at that point, that's where I'm gonna question: do I want kids or not? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because then I'd be like, okay, I found this guy. Like, I really care about him. I love him. You know, he makes a decent salary, but not enough to take care of me. And, like, if I have kids, be able to take care of us, and me be able to stay home with the kids. Gotcha. So then I probably question, like, okay, like, do I even want to have kids? Maybe I could build with this guy until the point where again, I have financial freedom.
Right.
2, because obviously if I have the financial freedom, then we're both basically working. So then I'll still be able to be home with my kids while he's working.
Right.
You know, and then I'll have that as like my job.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's a good scenario.
You know, and then I could focus on that.
Gotcha. Okay. Because to me, it's like, it's one of those things where, yeah, like you said, if the real estate thing works out for you, you're set. You're basically set.
Yeah.
Because you're able to like work and at the same time to, you know, take care of your kid. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's why I was trying to figure out that question to you, because it's like when one doesn't make more than you do, or makes probably the same amount as you do, which I don't know how much you make, but like if it's something that you know that both ends, it's like we can't take care of a kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
But say if you both still are in that same place, he's not like moving up the chains and stuff like that, and you guys are kind of like stuck in there, like in that same area. It's like, now, are you okay not having a kid just in general? Because of if that scenario just keeps going where no one's getting that higher salary.
Right.
Like, do you think you should still...
probably at some point I probably need to hire somebody to help me, but I don't think I would want somebody, especially like in the first few years of my child's life, to be watching over my kid like while I'm away at work. Like, I don't know, there's something about that just like doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
Like, I rather be there. Maybe I could hire somebody to help me, like, watch them while I'm home working, or you know what I mean, to help me with like groceries or like things like that like I don't have time for because I'm working.
Right.
But like I couldn't see myself hiring a nanny that's going to be taking care of my kids when I'm not home.
Because you want to be the nurturer.
Right.
You want to nurture the kid, right? And so that way, as the kid grows up, at least like, right, the mentality of the kid would be like
my mentality, not some random stranger's mentality.
Right. Well, I'm talking about your baby.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm talking about your baby's mentality would be like, I love my mom. You know what I mean? My mom's taking care of me. So like, you want to make sure your baby remembers that. Yeah. And stays with you. That's actually pretty crazy. Like, you think about that scenario.
Yeah,
like,
and when they're little, they're sponges.
Yeah.
So you have to be there. Those are like the most crucial like years of their life. Mm-hmm. You know, that's where all the childhood trauma comes from, and I want to be able to be there to, again, nurture them.
Right.
I want them to grow up in a healthy environment, and if I bring somebody else into that, who's gonna kind of raise them in a sense, it's like they're not fully being raised the way that I would like them to be.
Gotcha. So you put so you you want to make sure, like, as a mother, like, you want to make sure that your kid has been, as a young infant too, that they get taken care of first, and making sure that the parents are always there. Maybe the dad, like you said, you want the dad, like, or the husband, to be the guy to go to work, and you want to be the stay-at-home mom. You know what I mean? Again, we don't know what the outcome would be, which I'm hoping it'll work out for you. You know what I mean? You'll never know. You never know.
But I'm open to other things as well.
Yeah, what I was gonna say, you have like another scenario?
Yeah, so I mean, my other scenario is like, let's say I do meet somebody and I just want to like travel, and then we decide, and I think that's also a thing too, like, you're gonna have a discussion with the person you're with. Like, I'm open to having kids, but I'm also like, you know, I need to have kids. Like, I'm not like that either. So it's like, I'm open to both possibilities. Like, I'm open to it, and then I'm open to not. Like, so you know what I mean? It's like,
depending on,
I'm not closed off to like either or. But another scenario would be meeting somebody and maybe just like traveling and like enjoying life with them.
Oh, that's
you know what I mean? So and that's completely different. I mean, not that I can't enjoy life like having kids, but you know, I won't have like that responsibility. Right.
And then if you think about it, if you're going to have a kid too, and then you're traveling, it's like, it would feel odd just because the baby is just going in different places. The baby's not settled anywhere. Oh, but then again, you don't know. The baby might actually enjoy traveling. As it goes up, he's like, I want to be a traveler too. Like, you don't know that.
Exactly.
But that's the thing though, because you want to make sure too. Because
I want to make sure that my kid grows up in a stable environment, and sometimes that's not so stable. So it's like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
you know what I mean?
Okay, so if you travel, right? Like, again, traveling different places, and you're doing it forever traveling. I go back to that question: would you still want a kid, even if you're like just traveling different locations? Do you think it's worth having a kid? Yeah, I know. It's tough. I'll be honest with you, I'll tell you my perspective. I don't know if I would have a kid, like, because I agree with you. Like, I want my future kid to be in a stable environment.
Right.
Like, I want to make sure that they're at home, they feel comfortable at home, not just go into like a hotel or a hostel, even though it's fun, but like that's not like an ideal environment for a baby to start growing up. You know what I mean? And what about school? Like, how are you gonna homeschool them? That's tough. So that's why, in my personal opinion, I don't know if I would have a kid. I don't even think I can have a kid, especially if I'm traveling, unless I get, like, there's like a phase where I'm traveling and then I slow down, and then maybe that's where I get like, okay, maybe I'm content. Like, I think I'm able to go back home and maybe start having a family with this significant other, But then again, what about age? Like, what about age? So like, as you get older, right? Like, say you travel for 10 years.
Yeah.
So by that time, we're almost in like our 40s. We're like in our late 30s, right? Mm-hmm. Like, do you think you would still want a kid by like 40? Yes or no?
So, yeah. I mean, I could change my mind and be like, yeah, I want a kid at 40, but it's a higher risk. Like, there's more problems that come with that.
Right.
The older I get and want to have a kid.
Right.
So it's like, I mean, there's ways around it. Like, I could like freeze my eggs and like maybe get like a surrogate and have her have my baby. Damn. You know what I mean?
I mean, that works.
Like,
yeah, if that works.
Yeah.
22.
22. So I mean, there's a lot of ways around that.
With technology
and then
nowadays,
especially if I'm 40 years old, there's going to be even more ways probably by that point.
Probably. Hey, listen, if that's like the way it works for you to have a kid at like 40, by all means, that's pretty dope. You know what I mean? Because like I say that because it's like time is essential. Time is essential, and it's like you want to have a kid, you also want to travel, but it's just like, especially where we are currently, like later down the road, it's like, if I want a kid, I know it could be a time essential, because like you said, as you get older, it might not be good to have it at age 40. It could be good, like it might work on the good end of it, but like you said, there could be a bad end into having a kid at 40 years old.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
And
tough.
People die from pregnancy.
Yeah, people die from pregnancy.
And the older you get, the higher the risk is. So.
Yeah, the contraction.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems that come with being pregnant.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. Again, I'm a guy, but I can't imagine the pain of delivering a baby.
Yeah,
I cry too.
Yeah,
I cry. Fuck it, I cry. I'll like literally be like screaming. I don't even know, but yeah. So that's like, again, that's why I wanted to ask that question too. Also, I also wanted to bring this up too, since we're talking about significant others, right? So what kind of like guy do you like what's like your type? I know for a fact, like, physical type, yes, but it's above and beyond that. So what are some things internally you think, not physical, I'm taking out physical because that's already a plus, that's just a plus, but we're talking about like the ins of
because if you bring up like a type, like physically, like I don't think I have like a type, like I just have to be like attracted to you,
right?
But there's also some guys who are attractive physically, but I'm not attracted to them on an emotional level, and it kind of like makes me not attracted to them, even though they are attractive on the outside.
I see.
Or people consider them attractive,
Gotcha.
So on the inside, I would just say like somebody who listens. Somebody.
I agree. Yep. Yep.
Somebody who cares.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like attractive. Someone who has really good communication skills.
Yep.
Somebody who is emotionally intelligent. You know what I mean? Like,
deal.
If I'm going through something, they know, because of the experience that they have and because they've matured throughout the years and worked on themselves internally, are able to help me or guide me through hardships that I'm going through and be there for me.
Yeah, and so you grow together too.
Yeah, instead of it like being too much for them, and it's just kind of like they can't handle it. Like, I need somebody who's like a rock. You know what I mean? Like, he can be my rock when I need him, and vice versa. Like, I think it should be like an exchange.
Okay.
An exchange, give and take. Yeah.
I got the rock for you. That's what. No, here's but that. Here's a rock. Here, I got your back. Here, have this rock. No, but I like that though because you're right. Because if you have an emotional intelligence, right? Also being attentive. That's like one of my like favorite like characteristics of a significant other is that they're paying attention, that they're listening. Because if you can hear me out, like it really shows that you genuinely care and you're trying to process it, understand it. It could be a good scenario or a bad scenario, but I'm telling you. I'm telling you because like I can trust you. You know what I mean? And that's like one of the biggest factors too. I'm going to bring this up and you're going to probably agree on it. Core values. Yeah. Core values is such a big factor too, because one of the things that I notice about core values is everybody has something similar in terms of core values, but then there's a lot of significant differences. And I go into this because some core values may not align with your significant other's core values. You know what I mean? Meaning like if
like religion.
Right. Like if the religions are different, can you guys negotiate that? Like one of my boys said, core values may have negotiables, meaning you can negotiate core values with your significant others. But then there's ones that are non-negotiable, meaning like I don't even care. Like that's my thing. Whether like you don't like it or not, like I keep that core value, like, and I'm not changing that. You know what I mean? So like, do you ever had like, if you ever thought about that, like what would you do in a scenario if your significant other had a core value that you disagree on, and it's like,
it depends on if it's like a deal breaker or not. Like it depends on how important it is to me.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, is it more important to me than the relationship, or is the relationship more important? You know what I mean?
That's what that's what I'm saying. Like, it's such a deal breaker.
It's touchy.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, for example, okay, what are like some core values that you feel is something like to heart? It could be anything, to be honest. Like, it could be a negotiable or non-negotiable. I don't know.
Like,
yeah. Like,
I don't know.
It's tough. You know what? I
don't know if like religion really plays a huge part in it for me, because I'm like very fine. Like I don't want to talk about religion.
Right, but you're but open.
Like
you're
I'm open to it. I mean,
okay, that's fair. What are some of the core values that you feel is potential non-negotiable? So I can give you an example, like family. Family. Do you feel family is non-negotiable? Like, sorry, buddy. Like, I don't care if you're everything. If my parents don't like you, you're out. You're out of my list. Is parents or family a deal breaker?
Yeah, I feel like that plays a big role in who I choose as a partner. And for example, my dad, like he gets along with a lot of people.
Right.
And for him to say that he doesn't like somebody, it's very rare. And he's usually really good at reading people. So if my dad tells me, hey, I don't like this guy, something seems off,
that's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal because you're, like you said, like your dad he's a reasonable guy.
Yeah. Like
you said he likes everybody. If he says one thing about a guy that's just like, I'm not feeling it with this guy, I don't know if you should be with him, then it's just like, shit. Like that says a lot. Then that means that may be an issue. You know what I mean? Has that ever happened before with you? Like,
it happened once with one guy, and he was right about it. So I'm glad I followed that. He followed his gut and let me know. You know. Did
it take like a couple of hangouts to, like, he would tell you?
No, he knew right away.
He knew right away. Okay, and then for you,
like my dad is like he cares a lot about respect. So, like, if the guy, let's say the guy were to pick me up, and this happened years ago, like, the guy were to pick me up and he didn't say hi to him when he, like, came. And just, like, picked me up outside and was waiting for me in the car and, like, didn't say hi to him. Like, that's something that, like, my dad would be, like...
That's a problem.
Say something about. But even then, like, I wouldn't write the guy off. You know what I mean? Like, he would mention, hey, you know, I don't like this.
Right.
And I'll be like, okay. But I think it's more so... about the character, and if my dad sees and gets a feel for the person, and he's like, hey, something feels off about him, like the vibe's off, the energy, or like just I guess the way he presents himself, my dad will say something.
Like he'll say something. Okay.
Like he's pretty good at reading people, you know,
Damn.
even if he doesn't know them.
So even so right after he told you like something about him was off.
Yeah.
You then probably observed it for like a couple of hangouts after.
Right. Like I didn't.
You were just like,
I took it as a grain of salt, but I was also, you know, aware of what he said, and when I did, I guess, get to know the guy a little bit more. I saw more of what my dad was talking about, like why he felt the way he felt. So I was kind of like, oh wow, he was right.
He was right.
You know.
And then you're just did you?
Like I proceeded with caution.
Did you? I'm assuming after that, did you like break it off with him after that?
Yeah.
Damn. Family values. That's a big deal. Yeah. That's a big deal.
That was only one. That only happened one time. I mean, my dad has mentioned things to me before, like about people I would date. You know, like he would say, "Oh, well, good and like, you know, bad things, I guess."
Good and bad.
But you know, he would say like, "Oh, this seems like a really nice guy," or I feel like this guy's off, and you know, he's a little bit aggressive, or I could see him having these characteristics, and he's usually right. Yeah.
So he has a very good attention to detail.
Yeah, and also he's very like intuitive.
Which is actually that's a big factor because it's like when.
So it helps me. So whatever I'm seeing because I'm like in love or I'm in that infatuation stage, like he's kind of there to bring me back to like the logical.
Like think realistically.
Right.
Yeah. That's the
like
thing.
Don't be like blinded type of thing.
Yeah.
By like the 6-month stage, like the honeymoon stage.
The honeymoon stage, yeah. Oh, so you just reminded me too. Like I always feel like, especially in the honeymoon stage, everybody, even myself, because I know I've been through it before in the past. Everyone in the beginning, like, they get lost in their own emotions. You know what I mean? Because, like, emotions are very powerful. Like, just, especially, like, love or, like, really liking something. Oh, yeah, love, whatever. And once you're in that place, it's like your actions are not from thinking. It's just from these emotional, caring about that person. And it just, you won't be able to stop it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm glad your dad, like, kind of not put you in your place, but like more like I wanted you to come back to reality and just remember before you really go emotionally in depth with this guy, just be aware of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Because if you don't see it, you're gonna forget about them because you're so invested in the emotional love for him, and you just completely forgot about
or like the what it could be instead of like the what it is.
The what it is, yeah. So there has to be like a balance, like a happy balance between your logic and your emotions. Of course you're gonna have emotions and you're gonna have like at least some sort of caring for them, you know what I mean? But you also have to realize too, like we're all humans, like we all have flaws. You know, there might be a few flaws that, you know, that they have, we're not seeing it because we're blinded by love. Like how you said it, we're blinded. Your dad would say don't be blind by it, just be cautious with it. And if you start to see it and you're starting to realize it, then it's up to you to, do you want to continue with this guy or do you want to end it with them? Because you're realizing it's going to be like that if you don't see it. You know what I mean? So I always say, like, you know, with emotions, make sure you have that logical standpoint too. Just because it gives you like the reality check. Like, okay, maybe like there's some things about him that I might not know I should be aware of. You know what I mean? But if it works out nicely because then once you see it, you can determine like, okay, I can figure things out. Maybe I can just talk to him about it, saying, hey, just for the heads up, you know, I'm kind of feeling a little bit off when you do this, do that. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to mention that to you because like I really like you.
Yeah. And also it can help them be more aware of things that maybe other people didn't point out to them in the past. That they were wondering, well, why didn't it work out? Now that somebody's actually pointing out the flaws or like, hey, you could work on this, it actually will help them grow. It'll help them grow. It's really about how you say it too.
Right.
And
how
what you say and how you say it.
Yeah, like how to like address it. Like you don't have to like go off on them.
Right.
But you can just put them to this, like, hey, step over to the side with them and just say, hey, like, I just want to give you the heads up. Like, I know, like, you know, I like you, like, you're just being you and stuff like that. But there's one thing about you that I might like have some sort of trouble with, you know. And same thing for me. If it goes for a girl, if I see something with a girl that's just like something's off, like I'm gonna talk to them. I'm gonna address it because that's little things like that. It could be the tiniest thing, but it could be a major impact in the relationship down the road.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing that your dad, that's why you say family is a non-negotiable. I agree with you on that. Family is a non-negotiable because they tell you and they can see it. They also have experience. So,
what about like if they're not close to their own family?
Ooh, that's a good. Well, it depends too. Like, oh yeah, if they're not close to their own family, that might be a different. It might be a different scenario.
Because that could be questionable, you know?
That could be.
That could be either they don't get along with them for personal like reasons, or like maybe because they have like other issues like going on,
like disagreements on something,
like deep-rooted issues maybe too, like on both ends, or you know, whatever that scenario is. Or it could be maybe they saw the way their parents were growing up and they kind of like
disagree,
want to get away from the toxicity, or like are trying to heal themselves and want to get away from that. I mean, there's so many different unique situations,
family styles of it.
So it's kind of like I would want to know, for me personally, I want to know the situation. You know what I mean? Why aren't you close to your parents? Like, you know,
like, what's the history behind it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. What's the history behind it?
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people will say, oh, if you're not close to your family, that's a deal breaker too.
Yes.
But you really have to know the full story to really decide, okay, this is a deal breaker or not.
Exactly. That's why, like, as much as, like, again, we did agree that family is like a deal breaker for us, but like for another person that we don't know what their family history is, it could be a good reason why they're not sticking around with their parents. It could be you know, that they didn't take care of them right, or were just not treating them right. It could be a lot of disagreements. So you're right, that actually can factor in there, that I could still stick around with him because even though he's not close with his family, there's a very, very good reason he is not close with them. And that would make more sense of like, I'm going to stick around with him anyway because, you know, as much as he doesn't have his family, like, he still has me. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. But that's a good question, actually, because you're right. Like, a lot of like people, or like in our generation too, like they had families that just were like, no, like, I don't want you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
then they had that mentality to live on their own, and they're just like, fuck my parents, because they literally didn't take care of me, blah, blah, blah. And they ended up stuck with that mentality.
Yeah.
You know? Or it can go like, you know, you're family oriented. Like, you have a happy family, and it's just like, oh, okay, so like you have a great family. But at the end of the day, we have to find the backstory. If it's like, yeah, you're family oriented or you're not. But that's just because you're not family oriented, we don't disregard you.
That doesn't mean that you're unmarriable.
Yeah.
Or like, undateable.
Yeah, like you're not disregarded yet. I want to know what happened, why, and why you don't talk to them frequently anymore. You know what I mean? If it's not a good reason, then I'll deal break them. Okay, so so family is one core value. Work ethic. I can tell you, for me, that's a core value. Like, it is a deal breaker for me, because if you don't work hard, you know what I mean? Like, we talked about this in like the conversation like not too long ago. We were just saying, like, listen, like, if your husband like just doesn't make as much money as you, and he just doesn't have that mentality to thrive or strive for more, you know what I mean? Like, would that be a deal breaker for you?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because when I'm with somebody, I don't want them to be comfortable with being complacent. And like, I want to be better. So if the person I'm with isn't striving to be better, it's going to hold me back. We need to be on the same page, and we need to be pushing each other to be better, because that's what a relationship is. You know what I mean? Like, they're supposed to like add to your life.
Right. Like, you.
And if they're
not just doing more than.
If they don't want to do more, then it's not going to like be better. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to be stronger, and we're not going to like be able to move forward.
And going back to it too, you probably won't have a chance to have a kid or take care of the kid properly, because of the, like you said, you want to have.
There's going to be a lot of obstacles. And if you're not willing to grow and move past that and work through that, like,
where are we going to go?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because relationships, you have to grow with them. You have to be better. Like, to me, like, I don't care if if the significant other is a breadwinner, like gets better stuff. Great, I love that. I mean, personally for me, I prefer to be the breadwinner, but I'm fine with the significant other having to be the breadwinner. But it makes me motivated to strive better, and not out of jealousy, right? But it makes me want to work harder. You know what I mean? And
it's more like admiration.
It's more admiration. I'm inspired. Like, I want to be better now, and that's what I like about that. And if she feels the same way, vice versa with me, and she wants to strive harder too, we're both going to grow. And we're trying to both like improve like our skill sets, and that to me is a big deal, because later down the road it becomes financial stability, better like normal like family lifestyle, because you have enough money to provide for your kid, and you're
not like surviving off paycheck to paycheck,
and you're not exactly
having to worry about if you're gonna still have your house or not,
exactly,
like those things,
exactly,
which is a whole other issue.
Yeah, it is. that is a whole other issue. But that's what I'm saying. Like, so you agree with me on this? Like, if your man's is just complacent and just doesn't have that motivation or that drive to improve on himself, is that a deal breaker?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
100%. Yeah. Because I'm always looking to be better.
Right.
And even like, I don't feel like there's gonna be a point where I'm ever gonna stop.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Like,
so I feel like you could always improve.
Yeah. And
I don't care how old you are.
Yeah.
There's always something new to learn. There's always something new that you learn about yourself, and
and you have to have the mindset every day. Like, that's the toughest, because it's like
people change too.
People change.
You're not this. I'm not the same person I was 5-10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, my point of view changes. Some of my likes even change.
Yeah. Your views change.
My lifestyle. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that change throughout the years.
Exactly. You can even change throughout a month, because like something big might have happened, and then now a month later your whole different motivation or perspective completely changes because of whatever happened. You know what I mean? That's why I always like the idea of every day being different, because to me, like, I'll be honest with you, like, as much as like a routine is nice, I prefer not to have a routine, because it's boring. Yeah. I like to be like drawn off guard. Like, I want to be like, whoa, where is this coming from? But I'm willing to take that challenge, and then the next day it'll be something different, and I'm just like, what the hell? But I like it, because my brain is like
it keeps it working. Like, you don't feel like a robot, because when you're consistently you're doing the same thing every single day, it's like we're creatures of habit, right? So like but then we become like robots.
Yeah.
In a way.
You feel stuck. It is what it is. You feel like a robot. It's just like, oh, another day. It's the same day. Yeah. Like, nah. Like, I prefer like things to be different every day. I mean, I'm telling you right now, like, it can be stressful, because it might be. I don't know how, like, what the work load is. It could be stressful, but it's worth it. Depending on, well, I want to say depending on if you love doing it. Like, if you love that career, then it's worth it, because like, it will allow you to grow to a higher position, or because and you're also adding more skill sets to yourself, and that to me is like a big deal, especially for my significant other, because if I see her trying to be better at something, I find that attractive, because you're trying to learn new things on your own, and you want to have better skill sets, and if you like teaching it to other people, then that's awesome to me. So to me, work ethic is like a very strong non-negotiable core value to me, because it's I don't like a woman to be just chilling, and then it's just like, oh yeah, it's cool, and I'm just like,
I mean, it's good to be chill.
Yeah, it's good to be chill, but like I want you to
I want you to be
growth
when it comes to growing. It's
like, I want you to be independent. Like, like, you don't have to rely like on me all the time. Like, you have a brain, you have your skill set, you have a knowledge. I know you're smart. Just all you gotta do is just work for it. You know what I mean? Work on what your passion is, and that already that seals it for me. Like, I'm into you, because you're doing your thing. You know what I mean? So work ethic. We got family as another one. I don't want to listen. I don't want to go in depth with like again religion and politics because we already know that's already like another topic we can discuss another time.
Right, and it's touchy.
It's very sensitive. It's very touchy. Like, and that's why like that's something that can be a one-on-one time, like literally like another day. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, do you have any in-depth ones like in particular? Like we talked about family, we talked about work ethic. Did you? I remember we talked about literally earlier that it was very something simple. Oh, it was
self-care.
Self-care. It was self-care. Yeah,
self-care.
It doesn't sound like a big deal, but it kind of is a big deal. Like it kind of is a big deal. Yeah. So self-care. Yeah. You say self-care is a non-negotiable.
Like, yeah, it's definitely a non-negotiable.
Got you. So it's like one of those things where it's like, if you smell constantly.
Yeah, like if you don't really shower that much, or like you're really messy, you don't clean up after yourself, like, and you just make this like part of your lifestyle, and it's like something that, you know, is like a habit of yours.
Right.
That will completely turn me off because I like a clean space.
Right.
And I need my partner to be on the same page as me.
Right. Like they don't like. Do they have to be like? They don't have to be like in tip top shape though.
Yeah, like they don't have to be like OCD. Everything needs to be like, you know, color coordinated and like labeled. Like nothing crazy like that. That would be great.
Yeah.
But no, it doesn't need to be to that extent.
But if it's constantly like you're not showering, you're not putting deodorant on, you're not even freaking, even not just with your with body wise, but in terms of like you said, the apartment needs to be tidy up.
Right.
If he's messy that way too, like the dishes are messy, he's not even cleaning anything.
Also, if it's not like a team effort, like I'm cooking, he does the dishes, you know what I mean? Or like vice versa. It needs to be like balanced.
There needs to be a teamwork,
give and take,
balance.
Teamwork.
Yeah, and if that does
teamwork.
Yeah, and if that doesn't pull through, then that's a deal breaker. That's like, because it's been like that constantly, and you're just you're literally not cleaning the dishes. I've been doing it the whole time. You're like chilling on the couch doing nothing, and you haven't showered. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's disgusting. You leave
your dirty laundry on the floor, even though you have a laundry basket. Yeah. Like, you know, like things like that. It's like you're letting the garbage pile up, and like not taking the garbage out. I always find myself taking out the garbage. You know, I'm basically doing all the cleaning.
Yeah, and it's just
and you're just comfortable with living that way,
like a
pig,
like a king. Spoiled too, because you're literally doing everything for him. Yeah, that's a deal breaker
like,
for me. Yeah, like to me too, if it gets to that, like especially my significant other, they don't like keep themselves clean. It doesn't, again, like you said, it doesn't have to be OCD, like, but if you don't like keep your hydration is just like, you're not hydrated, and then you're not doing, like, it's just like I don't want to judge that.
It turns me off. You could be
it
successful in all these other things, but like, as soon as I see that, it's just, it really is a big deal breaker for me.
Yeah, it's a big deal breaker.
Because I have to live with that too, and in that, basically.
Yeah, and it's just like you also get used to the smell of it, but then what if your other peeps are like, dude, when was the last time you showered? And then you have to gonna be like, it's a great question.
Yeah, see, like I'm not trying to do all that.
Yeah. and that's why I can see that being as a deal breaker. Okay, so we have that, we have work ethic, we have family. I know there's like other things too. I'm just trying to like recall some stuff too. I'm trying to think. Do you have anything else that you have in mind that might be a essential core value? I don't
So far, I like feel like I named everything.
I think you did. I'm trying to think of something too, but I don't have anything in mind.
I'm sure there's other things, but those are probably just
like, it needs to be in the moment. Like, I feel like when I realize it, like something's off, I'm like, okay, that's starting to become like a value to me. Like, why are you?
I would say
it's not aligning.
Oh, I would say lack of communication.
Ooh, okay, yes. Communication is like a big deal. Oh, and to add that too, not being a listener, an active listener. I hate, like, if you're not paying attention, like I could be saying something so important, and you just completely just didn't didn't even hear it at all, that turns it. But that only happens if it's constant. Like maybe in the beginning it's fine, but if it's like later it keeps going over and over, you're not paying attention like at all. And like I could be just saying like, hey, like I am in the hospital right now, and then they don't like respond or anything, like that turns me off, like literally.
Okay, yeah. So someone who's not really there for you.
Yeah, like there for you, not like hearing you out, not communicating, like that actually is a non-negotiable to me. That's for me. It's a non-negotiable.
I couldn't even be your friend, never mind date you. Like if
right, like I can't.
Weren't like that. You know, if you were like that, no.
Like how are we friends in the first place?
Yeah, right.
Like, how did I get with you in the first place without even communicating? That would be
it's
mind-blowing.
Like we just looked at each other and knew.
Yeah, like we looked at each other like, I think we're dating. Yeah, like I think we're dating. So okay, so communication, that's a deal breaker. Being an active listener, if you're not listening, then that's another deal breaker too. So I think we got like all of them. Well, there's more, but I'm just trying to. I don't think I have anything else in stores, but I know for a fact, like if core values don't align, either you have to address it with them, because like those little details are big. They're a big factor in the relationships, because if it can't work out, even if you guys tried, then that could be it. You know what I mean? And the sad part is too, it's like you feel like you wasted time, depending on depending on the period. Like if you were in the relationship for like 2 years, and then you finally like realized it, that must be tough to handle, because you invested with that person for 2 years, maybe less. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, off something so little, became like the end game of the relationship. That's pretty crazy. Would you actually express express your like the core values first in the beginning? Because I feel like after,
it's okay, that's tricky to say, because you can tell a person this is what I value and that's what I value, and they might want to show you in the beginning, because you still don't know them yet, what you want to see, and not necessarily who they are.
Right.
You know, right. So that's where it can get kind of like tricky.
Yeah, because it's
like, okay, I can tell you I like X, Y, and Z, or I don't like X, Y, and Z, and you could be doing everything I'm saying to get me, and then once you have me, like your true colors come out, and then it's like, wait a second. So now I can't really, go based upon who you are.
Yeah.
Only who I've told you I want you to be for me.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah,
because it makes sense, because in the beginning,
it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. But in the beginning,
I guess you would say it like as you see them. I guess like as you like see them in different situations.
Yeah, and then you see how they handle.
See how you handle that, how they handle things in different situations. Instead of saying like, if this were to happen, I would want this. If that were to happen, I would want that.
Yeah.
And just kind of like put them in that scenario.
I got you. Because I always feel like it would be nice to express it in the beginning, right? But like I get it though, because it's like a change of events. It's just like, oh wait a minute, you didn't like this, and he's just like, yeah. I'm like, oh crap. So now that really factors. The only benefits of that is it's in the beginning of the relationship, so it doesn't feel like it's as bad to end it there, whereas like, it took time to finally realize, you know what I mean?
Like if you're doing certain things and I'm telling you, hey, like I don't really like this, or I noticed that you did this, and then maybe for like a little while the guy would just change it, but then it would just go back to the same thing.
And it would go back to the same thing. So
it's also like, where do you know when to say something or not to say something? Because I feel like sometimes you shouldn't, and just kind of see what they would do.
See what they would do, yeah. Until like you start seeing it over and over, and it starts. And
you're like, okay, this is a pattern.
Yeah, it starts to bother you. Then that's when you would address it. Okay, because like to me, it's like I would see it like that way too, where it's just, okay, I'm noticing something that I didn't realize about you.
But would you say it after a few times? Because what if they're used to doing that by that point? And you kind of already like...
Oh, I would... Like, after a few times, I would address it.
Yeah.
Because...
You wouldn't address it the first time.
I would address
it after a few times.
Yeah, because the first time, I wouldn't know. But then like after like 4 or 5 times, I'm like, okay, I'm noticing something. Let me like step to the side with you and talk about it, and then express like, hey, I noticed that you've been doing this like over and over like 3 times already. Like, do you actually do that on a daily? And also like you have to also think about the past experience. Like, was it something in the past that happened that made her do that frequently? You know what I mean? Because I don't want to just disregard it right off the bat like that. You know, there's always a reason why they take action doing it.
Yeah,
and why
it's
they take
definitely
it as a
good
pattern.
to understand like why people do what they do.
Yeah.
But it's also like, okay, this person's doing what they do. I understand that they're doing it because of this reason. But then it's also like, is that a deal breaker for me? Like, is this something like I'm okay with, or is this something that I'm not okay with? How can we handle this? Like, is there another way to go about it? And if there isn't, then it's most likely a deal breaker.
And it's most likely a deal breaker. Yeah. That one is very tough and it's tricky because it's more likely when you find out and it becomes a core value alignment or a disalignment, because it's just like, I don't remember this. Like, I don't know where that came from. You know what I mean? It's completely different from when we were talking about like those initial values. That one is like in the moment values, because it's like it happened in the moment and it's been happening multiple times to the point where it's just like, I'm actually kind of bothered by this. And if I'm bothered by this, I'm going to address it. And if we can't work something out on this might be like a problem moving forward.
Yeah.
So like I said, at the end of the day though, like core values itself is literally like, I think the primal area. Like, I mean, sex is nice. It's great and all. Like, the honeymoon stage is nice and all. But realistically,
that's not everything.
It's not everything. The truest part is really those values. And so if your actions don't correlate with what you say, then it wouldn't make sense. But that's why, like, core values itself is a very, very, like, primal place of where the relationship will go moving forward. Because now in the road, like, if the correlation of the core values don't align, there's going to be big differences, and then it might end the relationship. Deal breakers is what it is. But anyway, I'm glad that you came onto the show. And I'm glad that we talked about this, because I know we were discussing about it for a long time. But again, thank you for coming. Thank you for having me. Of course. Again, we've known each other for a long time, so it was kind of worth the wait to discuss about like these kind of scenarios, because, you know, we don't know what the future holds for us, but I'm hoping like it'll be a good one. So again, me too. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for understanding that this is the season 2 commencement. Stay tuned for the next episode coming soon, and take care, guys. Bye.